Good day, it is me, or to put it another way,
Hey, what's happening?
let's do this.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
The Vauxhall Astra is the Samsung Galaxy to the Volkswagen Golf's iPhone. Bit cheap and it's not as cool or nice looking, and it doesn't work quite as well. And the chances are that if you own a Samsung Galaxy, you're foaming right now, indignant in defense of your chosen handset because it looks good and it works perfectly well. And I am clearly an idiotic Apple fanboy. And actually, that's the point. In reality, there isn't really much quantifiable difference between an Astra and a Golf in most areas, but you'll make up the difference depending on your particular preferences and experiences and even prejudices possibly. And in the same way you'll pay iPhone money for a top-of-the-line Samsung or other Android phone, so too is the thing about an Astra being much cheaper than a Golf a bit of a myth. See? Oh. Okay, that's too simple. Let's go a bit deeper. So you see, if you compare a similarly powered Astra and a Golf, the picture changes. The Golf is cheaper to run over 3 years because it's more efficient and, more importantly, holds its value much better. However, go to a diesel and the Astra nudges forward, largely because Vauxhall's 1.6 is staggeringly efficient. When you start looking a bit deeper into the costs, you'll find that the Astra is by no means a budget car. So with that in mind, and the fact that previously budget stuff from Kia and Hyundai is now brilliant, the Astra can't be run-of-the-mill. It has to be exceptional. So it's not exceptional, but it is very good. It seems like Vauxhall's put most of its energy this time around into making the inside a lot better than it was before. And it's worked. Now, Astra interiors have traditionally been firmly camped in the depressing end of the family hatchback crew. But this one's pretty cool, apart from this bit. This is the thing to put your mobile phone into that's stuck onto a blank panel under the radio, and it looks like it was designed long after Vauxhall ran out of money. In the context of the cabin, which is generally very pretty, seeing this is like the first time you see Megan Fox's thumbs. Subjectively, there are still a few too many buttons in here, but the touchscreen is mercifully intuitive, and actually most of what you touch and hold feels really well put together. It's not quite Golf standard, or even Hyundai i30 standard for that matter, but it's good. Basics are all right too, you know, like good driving position, decent visibility all the way around, apart from maybe the C-pillars, they're a bit thick. And there's lots of oddman space too, you know, the door pockets are deep and you could probably fit a hat along with your gloves in the glove box. Practicality then. The boot is notable only for being very average, but it's nothing to complain about. Although actually you might complain about the size of the drop down to the floor if you've got something really heavy to pick out of it. You also might complain about the massive ridge there is when you drop the seats, particularly if you're sliding a large box of generic Scandinavian furniture in there. You can get an estate version too, which gives you roughly 50% more boot volume for about 1,400 quid more. Further forward, the Astra does feel much bigger inside than the last one, especially at the back seat. There's that much more rear knee room compared to the last Astra, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're in there, it does make a big difference. But more important than all that stuff, clearly, is what's going on even further forward, as in, how does it drive? It doesn't feel as hefty as a Golf. The steering's light and the gearbox especially feels a bit woolly. But actually, they're sort of characteristics that a lot of people will appreciate. Makes it feel comfortable and easy to drive. The steering's actually quite quick too, so that overall, there's a surprising agility to this car that makes it good around town. It feels kind of light and easy to maneuver, you know. Vauxhall reckons it's taken up to 200 kilograms off the weight of the Astra compared like for like with the last one, which is kind of the same as not having a girl band in the car. And while you do feel that, it does feel like this car, it also has a general sense of slackness that you just don't get with the Golf, or even with a Peugeot 308, or again a Hyundai i30. It almost feels like there's, you know, 100,000 miles in this car already from the word go. The pedals feel quite spongy, and the overall characteristic of the body control is just a little bit on the bouncy side. But overall, it's very comfortable. It's a very nice motorway car, this. It's very good at keeping the wind and the tyre and the engine noise down. If you are a atypical high mileage company car driver, this will be very suited to your needs as well. So there you go. it's as vaguely decent as you would expect. And speaking of vague stuff, onto the trims, which, like the Corsa and pretty much everything Vauxhall does for that matter, is a baffling minefield of arbitrary words and equipment. I'm pretty sure that it's designed to bamboozle showroom customers into a state of panicked hypnosis so that they'll drive away in whatever special the dealer's doing that day. Our advice would be just to go into the showroom and ask them to explain it for you. Because if I do that now, we'll all be here all day. What I would say though, is that the base one, which is called Design, obviously, comes with quite a lot of stuff. You get alloys, you get a colour touchscreen, you get DAB, you get drills, you get USB, lots of stuff. One thing worth mentioning is Vauxhall's OnStar thing. Now it is an option, but the 400 odd quid you'll pay for it really does seem worth it. Not only does it turn your car into a big moving Wi-Fi hotspot, but it also gives you some pretty handy services in the event of an accident. Like you can press a button and you'll get straight to a real person at a call centre who'll be able to help you with stuff. And it'll call that call centre automatically if you have an accident. You can basically call a real human being at any time if you require assistance. Just a chat, I suppose. Right, we've spoken to Vauxhall and apparently you're not supposed to ring them if you just want to chat. And so are the engines, which are mercifully few compared to the number of trim levels. They're all on the economical side. The standout is this one, the 110 horsepower diesel. I really like this 1.4 turbo engine. I'm not normally a big fan of Vauxhall engines, especially the diesels that always seem a bit gruff and a bit noisy, but this is really good. You can tell it's new. Loads of mid-range punch, right? But then in 6th on the motorway, it settles into a really nice quietness. I would definitely recommend you get one of these rather than a diesel, unless you have to have the big MPGs of a diesel because you're doing loads and loads of miles. Any one of the diesels will ensure that you're not constantly at the fuel station. It's just that the turbo petrol stuff feels newer and is much more enjoyable. On the safety front, the Astra is of course a 5-star rated car, but also unsurprisingly, it doesn't really stand out in any particular area. It's just pretty good in all of them. Which really is the story of the Astra. All good, but never exceptional, and never that interesting really. You know, I spent the first part of this review comparing it to a Golf because that's what you're supposed to do. Well, that or a Ford Focus, eh? But now it feels more like you'll be considering it against a Kia Ceed or a Hyundai i30. And I have to say that while I understand why anyone would drive an Astra and feel like it was a perfectly pleasant, perfectly reasonable car to buy, for me, I'd take the Korean every time. Really? Thanks for watching, Merry Christmas, and if it is still the Christmas period while you're watching this, maybe take the time to look at our other videos, they're dead good. Bye!